Hello everyone, welcome to the maiden video of our Aspire High channel, initiated for providing guidance to the learners of MBA program of IGNOU in the distance mode, etc. Let me introduce the course and myself. I have taken up Human Resource Management course in semester 1 of MBA program of IGNOU, a core subject paper, as my first course being covered in my new channel Aspire High. I would like to cover the entire course of HRM, that is MMPC-002, the course code given by IGNOU. That means what I mean to say is I would like to cover all the topics in all the units. This is an important subject. Human resource management is a very important subject, and it forms part of the core subjects in MBA program in some other Indian universities or institutes also, more or less with the same course content. In this way, these video lessons are going to be useful to the students of those courses also. Even though the prime target of this course in my channel is the learners of IGNOU who are going to take the December 2024 term and examination of this particular MMPC-002 course. Myself, Dr. Raman Rao, I had my MBA from IGNOU itself. So I had a fair understanding of how the course content is structured by IGNOU. Further, the term and examination pattern, the assignments, and also the project work of MBA program of IGNOU. So against this background, definitely that I feel that it is a value addition for my course content and delivery of the content to the learners of IGNOU, current learners of IGNOU. So we shall now move on to an overview of the course content first. Before that, I would like to tell all the learners that I would adopt three-pronged approach in the coverage of the course. First, I will take it up all the topics as per IGNOU study material topics, all the topics. I want to repeat all the topics in all the units, followed by achievement of the learning objectives set forth in the course. And finally, but not the least, the pattern of the previous term and examination questions. This is what every student basically expects from any delivery of the course content. I would also like to add that these video presentations may be of interest to watch by the working professionals in the organized sector also. They may not be taking up any examination as such, but they are interested to have a broad idea about how HRM discipline is currently emerging in our country. Let us have a bird's eye view of the course content of MMPC-002 HRM. The course is divided into 14 units or 14 chapters, distributed among 4 blocks. Block 1, titled Introduction to Human Resource Management, consisting of 3 units. Unit 1, the first unit, Concept and Evolution of HRM, which you are going to start in this particular video presentation itself. Unit 2, Functions of HRM. Unit 3, Environment and HRM. The second block, titled Sourcing of Human Resources, is having 4 units, 4, 5, 6, 7. Human resource planning, followed by job analysis, design and evaluation, recruitment and selection, and the last one, that is 7th unit, being socialization and mobility. Coming to block 3, performance and compensation management. It also consisted of 4 units. Unit 8, performance appraisal. Unit 9, career development. Unit 10, training and development. Unit 11, compensation and rewards management. The last block, block 4, is titled Employer-Employee Relations. It consisted of 3 units, Unit 12, Unit 13, and Unit 14. Employee empowerment, followed by grievance handling and discipline management procedures, and the last unit being unions and associations. In this way, the entire course is covered in 14 units that are grouped under 4 blocks, block 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Each block consisting of either 3 or 4 units. So now we take up unit 1. the concept and evaluation of HRM. As already said, the three-pronged approach, the topics, the learning objectives, and the exam pattern is going to be adopted by me. So what are the topics in Unit 1? There are 7 topics in Unit 1. First one is the definition of HRM. Second one is evolution of HRM. Third, objectives of HRM. Fourth, importance of HRM. Fifth, scope of HRM. Sixth, nature of HRM. And the last one, seventh one, components of HRM. So there are 7 topics to be covered. And the learning objectives set forth by the university for this particular unit is that at the end of the Unit 1, the student is expected to have achieved these objectives. What that means, what does it mean? He or she should have a fair understanding of what a HRM is, that is the meaning and concept of HRM, the evolution of HRM, and the scope of HRM. Scope means the limitation to what does it cover and what are the boundaries, and what are the objectives of HRM, and finally the components of HRM. So we'll see those also after the completion of all the topics of Unit 1. That is, the objective is the learner should achieve these objectives. Okay, the objective of my course delivery is to see that the learner achieves these learning objectives. And next, coming to the exam pattern, we'll discuss exam pattern, that is a review of the past 8 semester term and examination question papers at the end of each block, because one question is definitely going to come from block 1, but need not necessarily from Unit 1. So that even the probability is more. That we'll see later in our subsequent videos. But at this moment, for the interest of the student, I am telling, when I have gone through the previous exam, term and examination question papers for the past 8 semesters, all the 7 topics barring 6th one, nature of HRM, were covered in one or more of the previous examination question papers. That is definition, evaluation, objectives, importance, scope, and components of HRM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. These 6 topics were there in the term and examination directly. What does it mean? That is, from the student point of view, except the 6th topic, all the remaining 6 topics are very, very important. So in this way, we'll take the course coverage way forward, particularly unit wise first, and at the end of the block, we will discuss the exam pattern of the previous term and exam question papers. At this moment, I would like to convey that those who are interested, in addition to studying the IGNOU study material, those who are very much interested to take this HR as a specialization and also aspire high to become scholars in human resource, some of you may be having such an aspiration, are suggested or rather advised to have their own copy of any of the one CB Gupta textbook of human resource management, Sultan Chand publication, or personal and human resource management textbook written by Mr. P. Subbarao, Himalaya Publishing House. It is better to have the latest edition of either of them, so that those who are very much interested to go beyond the scope of the IGNOU study material. Actually, IGNOU study material is very vast and suffices as far as our term and examination is concerned. But those who wanted to go beyond the boundaries, those who wanted to study more in much more depth, may take up these books. Indian author books are preferred generally, CB Gupta and P. Subbarao. Okay, they are also mentioned in the course material as reference books. That also you can see. Okay, and now just stay back. We'll move to the next slide. So we shall start with the first topic, that is definition of HRM. Before actually taking up the definition of HRM, we should understand that we are going to discuss throughout the course of this human resource management about human resources. not human beings. This is not a psychology course. It is a course relating to human resources, that is human beings working in an organization setting. So a workforce or employees in an organization who are considered as a valuable and unique asset for that organization, they are called the human resources for the organization, and we are going to cover thoroughly how to manage them. That is human resource management. And human resource management is always understood as a strategic approach to acquire, motivate, develop, and manage human resources of an organization. But now we are concerned with the definition of HRM. There are 5 definitions in our course material given by Edwin B. Filippo, DeSanjo and Robbins, Dessler, French Wendell, and Story. These 5 definitions are given in the course material. I have chosen the second one, that is given by DeSanjo and Robbins. At this point of time, I would like to convey that in the examination, if you are asked to write that define HRM, that is the question. So you have to write the definition of HRM. The definition has to be written verbatim. That means as it is, you have to reproduce. You should not write in your own words saying that DeSanjo and Robbins said like this. No. First, you have to write what the definition that is given in the course material as it is. Later, you can write 2 or 3 lines describing how you have understood the definition. This is very, very important. Then only you are going to get the good recognition by the examiner, and you are going to get A grade in the determined examination. That is, we will see all these things, how to actually prepare the answers, how to write the answers for each question. Later at the end of the block, we will discuss block wise, not unit wise. Okay, that will be seen later. So coming to this definition, now DeSanjo and Robbins defined HRM in such a way that HRM is a managerial process of acquiring and engaging the required workforce appropriate for the job, in consent with the developing, maintenance, and utilization of workforce. This is the definition. That is, it is a managerial process in an organization to acquire and engage and the required workforce appropriate for the job. First, the job is to be defined, and the appropriate workforce is to be defined, and the number is to be defined. So all these things we'll see in block 2 in detail. Acquiring means recruitment and selection. Here, because we normally, in normal common parlance, we consider recruitment and selection are one and the same. But no, recruitment actually means starting the calling for applications for a job like that. Selection is the next step, and engaging the required workforce appropriate for the job means you have to train them, you have to give induction training, you have to after train, on the job training, and you have to place in appropriate roles. All these things will have to happen. Later on, the developing the workforce. This is also an important component of this definition. Developing the workforce means the human resource today recruited may be having a certain level of knowledge and skill, but after 8 to 10 years, this scenario in the organization will be totally changing because of the technological changes and socio-economic changes in the country. So for that reason, there is a lot of competition with other organizations for that in a particular sector. Therefore, the requirements of the organization, the objectives of the organization are also going to change over a period of time. Therefore, this particular human resource recruited today should be in a position to handle those positions. Handle those situations rather. So developing the human resource is very, very important. That's why it is defined clearly in this, given in this particular definition by DeSanjo and Robbins. Second is maintenance. Maintenance means they have to be given fair wages, adequate wages, other allowances, working conditions. All those things are to be taken care so that their productivity will be improved and also it will be sustained. And finally, utilization of workforce. This is also an important part of the definition. The workforce is supposed to work in such a way that objectives of the organization are paramount. Objectives of the organization are only important. Individuals' objectives shall be set aside. They should be taken up only outside the organization. Within the organizational setting, one is supposed to contribute in such a way, use his knowledge, skills, and his attitude also is to be tuned to the requirement of the objectives of the workforce. That is the utilization of workforce. In that way, the HRM function in the organization shall strive, shall work hard to see that the human resources that are there in the organization work for the objectives of the organization. So DeSanjo and Robbins finally said that it is a managerial process of acquiring and engaging the required workforce appropriate for the job and concerned with developing, maintenance and utilization of workforce. So of course, those who are interested may also see the other definitions of FLIPO, SLR, French Wendell and Story available in the course material. The second topic, evolution of HR. Human resource management, HRM, has evolved from old personal management over a period of 100 years. Personal management, many of you are aware of the word personal management. Personal referring to, when the spelling is PERSONNEL, referring to employees. So management of old method of managing employees in an organization, that was personal management. It was 100 years old. That's why we are talking of a journey from way back in 1920s to till today, the evolution of HRM as a discipline. In this context, we should always remember the initial contributions made by three important persons, Elton Mayo, F.W. Taylor, and Robert Owen. They are called management thinkers. In management studies, we use the word management thinker, management scholar, not scientist. That also young learners should understand. When we talk of their contributions based on their significance, they are arranged in the order Elton Mayo, F.W. Taylor, and Robert Owen. Their significance of the contributions, but the oldest contribution was made by Robert Owen. Robert Owen, in the initial days of 19th century itself, suggested that the workers' productivity is going to be affected if the number of working hours per day are beyond 8 hours. So he suggested 8 hours of work only per day. In that way, he started something like reforms for workers, industrial workers. Later, the Taylor's contribution has come. Before that, we will have a discussion of the significant contribution of Elton Mayo. Elton Mayo is considered as the founder of the human relations movement in 1920. We can also call him as father of HRM in the world. Elton Mayo got this credit mainly from his initial work of Hawthorne study. Hawthorne study is nothing but a study conducted in a large factory complex of Western Electric Company in Chicago. That factory complex was named Hawthorne Works. So in that, he conducted a research work for a period of 5 years, 1927 to 1932, on the employees working in that particular factory. He tried to study the impact of the work environment on the productivity of the employees. He first started with the basic thing, that is the illumination, that is lighting. He attempted for increase in the illumination and observed whether any change is there in the productivity. And he got a positive result. That means productivity improved with increase in the illumination. That is, the working environment is made more comfortable for the employee to give their output. In that way, the productivity got improved with the improvement in the working conditions. But later, in the research work, he tried to put it back. That means whatever increase in the illumination he has brought in, that was reversed. That means original level of illumination was put in place. But to his dismay, he noticed that productivity didn't come down. Didn't come back. That means working environment, when it is interfered, that means is improved, has no direct impact on the productivity. So something more is there to study as far as productivity is concerned. That was the origin. So number of studies were made in this regard, and initial studies indicated that a sense of belongingness, a sense of respect for the employee, identification of the employee, giving importance to the employee, all those things were found. That means human relations approach was found to have impact on the productivity of the employees. That was way back in 1920s or initial years of 1930s. In fact, we can find it the same thing in the Maslow's theory of hierarchical needs. That is 1943 actually, not that means much later. In that particular theory, there were more concrete way of assessment. That is, stages are defined, 5 stages. All those things came later, but the origins were found in this particular Mayo study. What does it mean? All these things means that the productivity has a relationship with the treatment of the employees as respectable human beings. That is, we have to note down when we are talking of evolution of HRM from way back to 1920s. Next came the Tyler study. Tyler study also, of course, subsequently, I mean, it was done subsequent to Owen, but prior to Mayo. Scientific management principles were enunciated by Tyler in 1911. And his concept, his studies were relationship between the salary or wages or remuneration, whatever name you give it, to the performance. He suggested that the performance will automatically improve if the wages are increased. That means performance linked wages concept. In fact, today we are talking of a performance linked incentive. Even now, in many industries, in many sectors, that has its origins in this Tyler's studies. I mean, that is somewhere around 1911, means 100 years old. So he felt that there is a relationship between the wages and the performance. Of course, they were discounted later, and so many changes have come subsequently. All these things we will be discussing in our subsequent units also. The 4 principles of scientific management that were enunciated by Tyler are, he specifically mentioned that even a small task need to be conducted, is to be done in a scientific way. That means the task is to be understood clearly. It should be divided into as small components as possible, dissecting the components, and there should be a job card. That means it's the discharge of, doing a task need not be or shall not be left to a foreman. It should be done in a scientific way. That means there should be a job card, how it is to be performed. That means every employee taking up the job, taking up the task, will do it in the same way because they are very well defined in a seriatim. Okay, and second step is to match the skills that are required for the performance of a task. The employees are to be selected who are having those skills. Not only that alone is not sufficient. They have to be given a training to do a task. So first, matching of skills to do a task, later imparting training to do a task. And finally, the execution of a task is to be designed in such a way that a scientific approach is to be followed. These are the 4 principles of scientific management by Tyler. These are this is a very important study. That's why we would like to make a mention, and we should always note down the initial contributions of Mayo, Tyler, and Owen in the evolution of HRM in the world. Just stay back for the next slide. All said and done, in early 1960s, the pet milk principle of human relations got discounted. Pet milk principle means a happy cow gives extra milk. Similarly, a happy employee will give more productivity at workplace. That means the work output will be more and more. That is what we spoke of based on the Elton Mayo studies. But the opponent started saying that each worker is unique in personality with exceptional desires, values, attitudes, expectations at workplace, all those things. They used to highlight and said that what motivates one may not be tried on another for similar results. It is true that what motivates one may not be tried on another for similar results, but it doesn't mean that the entire the human relation is observations or studies that were highlighted prior to 1960s, where starting from Elton Mayo studies, were wrong. No. Thus what happened is slowly the negativity is once again was overcome. The negativity was overcome. It was short-lived. Thus, the evolution of HRM continued once again on the right track. There are 6 stages of development of HRM in this 100 years journey. The first one is the commodity concept. This pertains to industrial revolution. Before industrial revolution, employees were treated as just like a commodity, that is a vegetable or an egg which we buy and or sell, like that. The second is the factor of production concept, that is related to Taylor's approach. Land, material and missions, just like were factors of production. Similarly, employees are also considered as a factors of production, just like land, material and missions. Okay, later the paternalistic concept has come. There is some change here, significant change. That is, employees used to started forming as groups, associations or trade unions, like that, and for their common good. At that time, the employers also took things in a positive way and tried to understand the problems of employees and took a fatherly approach in dealing with them. That is the beginning of the employer-employee relations. That is the paternalistic concept. Later, much more development, betterment, the humanitarian concept, that is the human relations concept of McGregor, theory X, theory Y. Many of you might have heard it or read it somewhere in another context. Theory X says that every employee at workplace is not that much interested to give his full output, and there must be proper supervision, continuous monitoring for getting the desired level of output from the employee. When it comes to theory Y, quite opposite. In this theory, employee is considered as such a person that is very much interested to give his best at workplace, provided he is given recognition, the freedom to work, and also his self-esteem is given value, and there is a delegation of work or autonomy at some extent, autonomy at work, what we call it as empowerment of the employee. So automatically the productivity will be much higher. That was theory X, theory Y. And the humanitarian concept based on the McGregor's theory X, theory Y continued for some time. Later, much better development, that is the behavioral human resource concept. Here, the motivation, the group dynamics, organizational culture, conflict in organizations, all those things from the behavioral sciences, they have come from behavioral sciences to the HRM concept. So here, the major contribution is the Peter Drucker's management by objectives, MBO. Peter Drucker was considered as father of management. Please understand the difference. Father of HRM is different. Father of management is different. Peter Drucker was considered as the father of management. His major contribution was management by objectives. Management by objectives means the employer-employee relationship. That means higher authority, lower authority, target versus achievement. In this case, the target on a particular employee from the employer side shall not be given in a unilateral way. That should be discussed across the table. There should be a mutual discussion, and a realistic target is to be accepted by both the employer and the employee, and employee shall strive hard to reach such targets, and the employer has to review and assess the performance of the employee vis-a-vis that particular target, achievement versus the target. That was MBO's concept. That started in the behavioral human resource concept period. The last and the current one is the emerging concept. Emerging concept is the current concept. That is, employees are treated as partners in progress, the sweat equity concept. Now what is happening now? The employees are given in certain companies shares of the company. Automatically, when the share value in the company grows in all respects, and the profits increase, the volume increases, and automatically the market price of the share is going to increase, and definitely the employees are also going to be get benefited from that growth in the company and also the corresponding growth in the share value. So that means they are treated just as partners of the company. So this is the latest position. In this way, the HRM has developed over a period of 100 years, from commodity concept to factors of production concept, the paternalistic concept, the humanitarian concept, the behavioral human resource concept, and finally now with the emerging concept at present. Thus, human resource management has become a distinct discipline. We will now move to the position of evolution of HRM in our country. Please stay back for the next slide. Now the journey of HRM in India. It is a very interesting one for us because way forward we will be discussing the entire course of HRM as it is required for us as future managers in our country basically. In early 1970s, the journey of HRM has started in our country. Professor T.V. Rao sir and Professor Uday Parikh sir pioneered the HRM movement in our country. In fact, Professor T.V. Rao sir is considered as father of HRM in our country. Both these stalwarts belonging to Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, way back in 1974 went to Larsen and Toubro L&T company and did a research work there on the performance appraisal system that is present there. They completely reviewed and revamped the entire performance appraisal system in L&T. That is how an employee's performance is assessed or is to be assessed. You know, later in subsequent blocks we will discuss that there is a difference between a performance appraisal, potential appraisal, all those things we will discuss later. Here, their contribution in this particular exercise done at L&T was the beginning of HR movement in India. It is very important, or rather pertinent to mention that Professor Uday Parikh sir's name will be could be seen in the first few pages of our MMPC-002 course material because he was one of the authors in the course preparation team of this human resource management course of IGNOU for MBA program. Next, the companies Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited and State Bank of India, you could be considered as pathfinders in taking up this HR movement because somebody takes up the research work, there is an academia, but that should be replicated in an industry. So for that, somebody should come forward. At that time, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL and State Bank of India were considered as pathfinders in the HR movement in India. As already discussed, we have the personal management in the olden days. Later, the IR department, Industrial Relations department has come. Later, some other changes, personnel and IR department, like that the name nomenclature got changed. Finally, now we have landed in HRM. Now HRM is an important discipline and it has gained ground in full measure. The approaches in those days when prior to this HRM nomenclature was actually mostly suited to blue collar employees. That is the personal management nomenclature. But with a rise in the service sector in the country, with the increase in the overall socio-economic milieu in the country, there is a slow transition to the HRM, and the main contributing factors are employees in the age bracket of 26 to 35, that their share is increasing, they are well educated, they are committed to their profession rather than to the organization. So that means that reflects their value system change or attitudinal change. But they are at the same time, they are free to move from one organization to another. So these are the four factors that contributed to the transition, though slow, from the old personal management concept, you can call it, when we talk of theory, we can call it even concept, to the HRM concept. Thus, HRM has become a discipline of very much significance in our country right now. So with this, I conclude the discussion of topic 1 and topic 2, definition of HRM and evolution of HRM. The subsequent topics, we will take it up in the next video. We shall meet on our next video presentation coming up in a few days, wherein the rest of the topics of Unit 1 are going to be covered. Thanks for watching. This being the maiden presentation and also maiden course of my channel, Aspire High. I request all the viewers to give their feedback in the comment section, and also if the course presentation, content, delivery, if it is good in your view, please like the video and also subscribe to the channel so that more and more videos and more subjects also could be prepared over a period of time. Thank you for watching. Happy learning. Thank you.